Hello everybody, MD Polo here. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to take a quick look at the Glock 19M. Not your regular run-of-the-mill Glock 19. This was produced in 2016 to fulfill a new FBI contract that was awarded to Glock. This was a Glock 19, but it had some stipulations that were mandated by the FBI contract. We'll go through the list of what those things were. And then I'm going to share with you towards the end of the video what I found out about the Glock 19M directly from Glock. The reason I wanted to make this video is not only this is a pistol you don't see very often out in the wild, but also because I think there's some misinformation of what it really is, what this pistol really is all about. Some people may say that this is something that was made some in Austria, some in the US, and if it wasn't made in the US, then it was an FBI gun. If it was made in Austria, then it was for LE. And there's been a lot of that type of information. So what I did was I called Glock directly to find out. Some of those videos also stated that if you called Glock, they called Glock, and they were very secretive about it, very closed. They didn't want to talk about it. I took a shot anyway, and I found them to be very open and full of information just for the asking. So let's take a quick look into this. I'm not going to get into specs and sizes and weights. It's a Glock 19. You know it. So that's what it is. But according to Glock and according to the contract, some of the differences are as follows. This seems to be the predecessor to the Glock 19 Gen 5. So if you want to look at it as a bridge between the Gen 4 and the Gen 5, you'll find the Glock 19M. It comes in a regular Glock case with 3 mags, 15 rounds, the back straps, no front serrations, and we'll go through the details. So let me take it out of the case. So we don't really need to see that. Put the case aside without dropping everything, and now let's take a look at the pistol. The FBI contract was very specific on the changes they wanted to the Glock 19 Gen 4. And some of these differences are that now it introduced the marksman barrel, and this brought a different and improved rifling, and now introduced a slight crown to the barrel. It also introduced the NDLC finish on the slide, and the FBA contract also mandated that the internals, including the trigger bar, would be coated with the same corrosion resistant and wear resistant finish. Now, some of the videos that you've seen out there say that the trigger bar, when you field strip the gun and you take a look at the internals, that the trigger bar, it actually looks black because of the special coating. And then if yours doesn't have the black coating, that it's not the original FBI gun. And we'll go through that as well. Another requirement for the contract was the ambi slide stop levers, and they're also extended on this particular pistol. And this is another subject of controversy that we'll go over a little bit later, whether the flat ones or the extended ones were the ones in the real contract. Also, you'll see it was the first one to come out from the Gen 4 to the Gen 5. It was the first one that had the removal of the finger grooves, and it had improved texture around the grip. It also has some changes to the trigger and the famous FBI mag catch, which is a little bit larger, but it's also rounded. You can see here how it's rounded. And if we bring in, this is a Glock 45, but you see the difference in the rounding of the two mag catches right there. This is the original flat slide stop versus the extended one. Can see there. Sorry, it's focusing on the back pistol, but let it catch up there. There you go. See the difference between the two. Also, it has a Mariglow night sights Now, some people say that if you don't have the Ameriglow Agent night sights, which just has the rounded notch in the back, that's the real FBI gun. And if you got the square one, which are the bold, that these are the commercial or law enforcement ones. We'll go over that as well, per the information from Glock. Another thing that the FBI contract mandated was the rounding of the slide, as you see here. And the gun, of course, is unloaded, guys. It was checked before. So what you have is the rounding of the slide for easier holstering and no snagging. So this is the FBI gun. The distributor is Lipsys. So what do we know? What do we find out from the contract, from my call with Glock? Let's put that there for a second. You've seen it. I don't need to go over it as much. What did Glock tell me? Well, it all was an issue of timelines and the rush to fulfill the contract. Of course, once the FBI said to Glock, okay, we're happy with this, go. Then Glock had to rush to fulfill the contract. So they fired up their facilities in Austria and in the US. They have the same machines in both. They were set up by the same engineers on both sides of the pond. So what they did is fired up the facilities and started to produce as many 19Ms as they could to fulfill the contract. As it turned out, and all this is straight from Glock, my conversation with Glock, it's not hearsay from a video. What ended up happening is that they made enough between on the US side to fulfill the FBI initial contract, and now they had all these extra ones. Not only they had some extra ones made in the US, but they also had extra ones that were produced in Austria. At that point, Glock made it available to law enforcement, to some parts of the military that were interested in adopting the 19M, and there were a lot, some left over that were sent over to Lipsys for the, I'm sorry, just bumped the tripod, for the distribution to the civilian market. That's how some have Austria in it on the slide, some have US. So if yours has US, or you're looking for US only because that is the FBI gun, not necessarily. It just happened that they fulfill a contract with the ones made in the US. They could have done it with the ones made in Austria. You may have different information. I'm just telling you what Glock told me directly. So what does all this boil down to? Talking about, some people will tell you that if you have the flat slide stop, like this one, that's the original, that's the real FBI gun. And if you have the extended one, that is the one that was made for law enforcement and military. Well, if that argument holds water, then then this one would say Austria. It would not say USA. That's the thing where this got me curious, because it didn't really fit the mold. It doesn't have the coated internals. It has an extended slide stop, slide catch, whatever you want to call it, not the flat one, but it says USA. It also has the Ameriglow bold sights, not the agents. So some things met the requirement for the contract, the FBI contract, some things did not. And that's what led me to be a little bit curious about this and actually call Glock. What sights the particular pistol got was purely dependent on what stage it was on the production. Glock told me directly that some 19Ms got the agent sights, some 19Ms got the bolt sights, and that there were some 19Ms that were shipped with the normal plastic U-notch sights that everybody hates. So not necessarily because you have a specific let's call it configuration, it means that that is the only way the pistol was made for the FBI. It really depended. Then, once the first batch of FBI guns were delivered, there were some changes along the way that the FBI requested for the next batch of guns, which you, of course, would not have seen on the first batch. Also, there were some differences in the markings on the barrel. Some of the earlier versions would have an M here, and then 5, it would mean that is the Gen 5 barrel, so this was a later production. Touching base on that for a second, I also asked Glock when this one was made, and this particular pistol was produced on November of 2020. So this is a brand new run. All this means is that it was all produced in Georgia, in their plant in Georgia. You can see it in the different, so it's the outline of Georgia with a P on it, made in the US. And the 3D here with the oval, all this means is that the fingerprint of the barrel, the rifling of the barrel, has been recorded in the registry. This is something for law enforcement. If this gun is used in a crime and it has been fingerprinted per se, the rifling, the specific fingerprint of this barrel, they can go back to the records in essence and find out which gun fired that bullet. So if your gun has a 3D with the oval on it, that means that your barrel has been fingerprinted. So letting you take a look at it a little bit again. There's nothing special as far as other than a regular Glock Gen 5. So I want to keep this video under 45 hours like my normal video. And I wanted to just share with you what I found out from Glock directly. So what you really have is not really black or white. It's a hodgepodge of things that were done, different production times, and a rush by Glock to fulfill the FBI contract. So needless to say, it's pretty neat. It's not something you see every day. Right now they're going for crazy money on Gun Broker. Some of them are going for over $1,000. The norm that I'm seeing when I can find one is going to be around the $850 range. This is brand new. It hasn't been fired yet. But I just wanted to share it with you. And let me know what you think. If your information is different, please share it with me. Be kind in the comments. I'm telling you that I heard this directly from Glock. Thank you for stopping by. Please remember that I upload videos every Friday morning and when I can on Wednesday mornings. I'm very active on Instagram as well. If you want to find out what's coming down the pipeline, you can see it on Instagram before it hits YouTube. Also, please remember that liking and subscribing the videos are very important for the algorithm. Also sharing it. I know you hear this from every YouTube channel, but there's a reason for it. YouTube is not very friendly to us in the gun community, so it's very important. YouTube says that about 98% of my viewers are not subscribers. So it really helps us. If you like the content, if you like what we do, please support your channels. Click the like and subscribe. Thank you again for stopping by, and until the next time, God bless.